Now, this week, the Madlanga Commission and the related ad hoc committee processes dominated South Africa's conversations, not just in courtrooms and committee rooms, but on timelines, WhatsApp groups, and in taxis and workplaces. What's gripping the country is a mix of explosive testimony, allegations of political pressure, claims of tender influence and gratification, and most worrying, the risk to witnesses of the high-profile violence linked to people referenced in these proceedings. To help us make sense of what South Africans are reacting to online, what's verified, what's narrative, what's misinformation, and what this tells us about trust in institutions, we're joined in studio by Tapelo Masilela, social media commentator. Tapelo, TJ, thanks so much for coming onto the show. Now, Welcome. It's been an incredible week. So much has come out. Issues of affairs between Kat Matlala and you-know-who, and so much else that we've picked up. But there's obviously a lot that's been happening on social media. Just give us some context into what were the key drivers of what was trending.
Well, look, once again, thank you for having us. I'd start by saying that fundamentally, and it's been ongoing, the capacity of the people whom we have in the state. We saw it with Julius Mkhwanazi, and we're seeing it now that there's this relationship of Mr. V and, well, I forgot what the thing was, but the professionalism within the state is something that social media has, rightfully been concerned about. Overall, yeah, I mean, yeah. So
obviously one of the things that will come out that you would pick up as a social media commentator is emotion, right? So
yes.
there's cynicism, there's anger, there's disbelief. Just walk us through some of the key emotions that you picked up in the last week.
Firstly, as a nation, we are generally humorous. So generally, that was the first one that we would laugh about it. But naturally, there's also the element of anger that this is our taxpayer money, that some of these guys, that they are earning a lot of money. They're not even sure whether they've got an NQF level 6 or 8 or whether it's a postgrad or not. So there is naturally that anger and I guess a fundamental sadness because it comes to these are the guys that are supposed to protect us. These are the guys that are supposed to make sure that we're safe, that we're secure, that are supposed to bring justice. But when you look at it, there has been that. So it's been a range of things, from humor, anger, sadness. Yeah.
So what's been dominating? I mean, what is the biggest question that people are asking?
It's humor. It's been humor, and it's been about the relationship between Brigadier Rachel and Kat Matlala. I mean, yeah, that's whether they look. I don't know how many people actually buy that was an actual relationship and whether it was not just her trying to cover her back, that this was actually a corrupt relationship. In addition to that, there is the main concern that was raised in both the ad hoc committee and also in the Madlanga committee about the safety of witnesses coming. I mean, we've seen how the Speaker, Toko Didiza, refused for Paul O'Sullivan to come, but also in the Madlanga committee because of the number of people, I guess, gets to witness D at this point, who was murdered, and that threat, also witness F and the identity being revealed. So those are core things.
So when we take a look at reactions on social media, are you able to give us a demographic, right? Particularly in these issues of where's this reaction coming from, right? Is it from women that feel that husbands potentially are betraying their wives or their partners, so they're reacting to that? Is it from citizens that feel that officials in institutions, particularly South African Police Service, that are tried, tested, that are supposed to look after and protect the interests of citizens are letting us down?
Look, maybe we should take a step back, right? And fundamentally make it palatable. So in understanding how citizens and social media feel about this, you need to take a step back and understand, one, how we got here, and secondly, what the objective of the Madlanga committee is. How we got here, I think it started 10 days before the July 6th media briefing, when the head of the crime intelligence was arrested and charged with fraud and misuse of the funds relating to the political task teams, which is something I believe that the president knew about. I don't think any of this was a surprise to him. However, once that press conference was made, his hands were kind of tied because apparently rumored that Mkhunazi himself was going to be arrested. So you arrive here where the president cannot act, and he's seen the component of Senzo being a political ally, makes it tough for him to act, but also it makes it tough for the police to do the work in terms of that particular case that was going. So there's that one, and the president is generally systematic, he's tidy. I mean, fine, there's pala, but...
Well, let's bring something else in, and that's the issues around Witness F and the Musa Kawula arrest, right? A major focal point of the testimony, who alleged that Deputy Police Commissioner Kaso Matlale pressured officials to arrest the controversial blogger. Your reaction to that? What's coming out on social media?
There has been the chat of political interference versus political oversight. And that one does firmly blur the lines. I know initially, in the earlier stages when Senzo himself was there, he was talking about what the Constitution says, that political oversight is within the power of the minister. But now when it comes to the deputy minister, now this is obviously something that is very concerning to citizens. That citizens are now worried that, okay, wait, what are these guys actually doing? So the outcry has been that, okay, now this one is, sorry, I said blurred the lines earlier, but they've actually crossed the line, and there is that anger, and there is, once again, humor in everything we do, because we are a light-hearted, happy nation.
Now, we must talk about witness safety and in-camera hearings, because I'm sure there are conversations happening on the socials around that, especially if you're a witness, you're implicated, nobody's supposed to know your identity, but next thing, your car is riddled with 16 bullets, right? So any reaction to that?
It's fear. It's fear, like you're saying, from men, from women that... women, once again, we've just seen the general scourge of how women are treated and not necessarily protected. But men, I guess, as a country, we generally have a high murder rate, and it's a problem. So when you have the whistleblowers, and we've seen it multiple times, that have come up, that have put their hand forward to say, look, there's a problem here, I'm going to address it.
But what is the reaction that's happening on social media? Because I know that's a big part of your life, and you're sifting. I mean, you're uploading stuff on social media. You continue to get reaction. So when you have instances where issues are debated about whether people are in camera or off camera for testimony, and then in the next minute an individual's vehicle is riddled with bullets, how are people reacting to that on X, on the various socials?
They're concerned. They're fundamentally concerned. Yeah, I mean, they're concerned for the safety. They're concerned the depth of the rot in the system, and the fact that primarily these people that are there are off of their taxpayers' money. So it is concern. It's, look, once again, humor's always there. That there'll always be jokes. That they're not going to mess with this guy. I mean. We also saw it when the jokes of the reaction, in particular when Madlanga was asking the DA MP in the ad hoc committee that, okay, what's your name? Are you coming at me? So there's humor, but at the core, every citizen, the reaction has been one of concern that these are the guys that are leading us. We are in trouble. We need to do better.
So how powerful is a voice of social media? And let's focus a little bit on Musa Kawula, right? If there are allegations, right, that Deputy Police Minister Kaso Matlale pressured officials to arrest him, what does it say about this specific case? What does it say about the power of social media bloggers?
The power of social media cannot be underestimated in terms of how they feel about this. And sorry, I'm going to take a step back to the second point that I was going to raise. I largely think the president has decided what he's going to do around all of this. And I think the commission and the ad hoc committee are a way of him taking us into his confidence so that we understand his decision and we understand why he is or isn't doing what he's going to do. And that
is this your perspective, or
yes,
is this sort of reaction? But
it's mine.
I'm happy to hear that, but I'm also keen to know the individuals that you represent, which is Greater South Africa, and those that are reacting to these issues. What are their thoughts? Because there is a court of public sentiment, right? So we're very keen to know what public sentiment is saying from one end to the next.
Look, I think at the core of it, it has been the same, you know, the same cycle of emotions, whether it's initially obviously funny and then anger and then sadness and then despair to some extent. I mean, yeah, that's been the core of the thing, and it's just been, you know, going around. But also, it has gone greatly to this narrative that the president isn't decisive, is covering up for his friends. That there's always that. The social media generally has this view that it's us and them. So they generally see it as a, look, they are politicians, they are criminals that are all kind of like entangled over there. And like we are here as citizens left to fend for ourselves while the country is falling apart. That has been the reaction, that has been the sentiment, that has been the posture of citizens as a whole.
Tabula Masilela from Palatable Politics. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on to Newsfeed, the PM edition.